Hello guys, welcome back to another video. This will be regarding another concerning hurricane lurking out in the Gulf again. And this will be the name of potential cyclone Isaac, not Isaias, Isaac. So, we're going to get right into this. And Isaac is looking like to be a major hurricane in the Gulf by next week. And this could be a potential problem for the East Coast as well. So let's get right into it. So, for this week, honestly, that low pressure that is in the east, like off the New Jersey coast, is going to keep spinning away some showers, maybe in Massachusetts and Boston. Then we get a little bit of a front in Pennsylvania, but that's nothing. Then this little cold front sweeps through. We could be seeing some severe weather in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, maybe. But then this cold front, becomes very, splotchy, like a very rainy pattern in general for the Northeast on Wednesday. And once we get further in the week, watch how this low pressure wants to develop in the southern U.S. and watch as Isaac wants to gain up some latitude. So it is a pretty weak tropical storm right now. But then once it gets up and it feels that weakness in Florida, watch it become almost a Category 1 hurricane. And goes right through Florida. And then watch this. Goes through the southeast coast. And it wants to slam the Southern Carolinas and the Northern Carolinas with some potential very gusty winds. And watch this. This wants to recurve back into the New Jersey coast and even slam into the New England area. Now, will I believe that it slams as a 975 near Boston? Hell no. And I don't think that's going to happen. But you see the idea. The GFS has been very consistent with this idea. Let's back this up a few runs, and you're going to see this has been a pretty consistent track right over Florida. Eventually. The previous run, yes, it wasn't that bad, but you get the idea. It keeps wanting to go near New England. A little bit before that, we're gonna go a little bit further, and it did show a little bit of a more chaotic run right in here. Let's see. Yeah, these were some chaotic runs. I don't think we're gonna see something that bad. 933 near Florida. No way. But I do see a potential problem for the East Coast developing and Florida. I think Texas will be spared, but I can't know for sure. But one thing I do want to look at, and that is a huge concern. Let's look at the 500 millibar height anomaly. So, as you can see, yes, we have this little trough coming down, and it is going to be like a little trough in the Northeast. It's not too strong. It will be bringing some showers, maybe some thunderstorms. But I'm not expecting this to be much of anything. But then you see that little blue dot in the southern U.S. And you're thinking, what, Alex? Like, it's a little blue dot. Like, what's the big deal? Well, as you can see, the problem is there is no weakness. There is a lot of weakness in the Gulf of Mexico, everywhere. In the East Coast, there's no ridging. That is a huge problem. And then, look at this. This trough becomes a little bit more expansive. And watch that blue blob grow just outside of Florida. That could be already a strong tropical storm about to make landfall. And then watch this. This little trough that develops in the Northeast. Watch this. It wants to congeal that together. And then watch this. It feels that weakness across, the Gulf Coast of Florida and the, East Coast. Watch this. It pulls it right up the Florida coast. And then watch this. Right up the Southeast. And then it even goes to the Northeast. This will have to be the most insane thing I've seen. But however, since it is an ice storm, I'm very concerned about this because ice storms in New Jersey, we just never got good luck with it. Remember Ida? The devastating tornadoes we had in southern New Jersey, EF3 in Mullica Hill, 12 plus inches of rain in northern New Jersey, New York, the Bronx, New York. My God, man. It was just terrible. And Isaias. How can we forget Isaias? We had power without a week, maybe. And we had 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts with very, very strong winds and some tornadoes across the coast and very heavy rain as well. But my point being is that ice storms are just causing a lot of trouble in the Northeast as well. And that's why I want to particularly watch this out. Because the GFS wants to pull this right into the coast. And, it's just not a good sign. There's nothing blocking it. And, the hurricane would steer up north. And it would hit the Gulf of Mexico if that ridge was smaller. And if that trough was smaller. If that ridge, was a little bit further into the ocean like the European, this storm wouldn't go into, the East Coast. But since there isn't, it feels that weakness, goes right barging into Florida and potentially the East Coast. Now, obviously, that ain't the only model. Now, let's take a look at the European. And you're going to see that we do have some ridging across the central U.S. Yes, we do have that little trough coming in, but it isn't as strong. And you already see, by the end of this run, you have ridging across the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. And that's already a sign that this hurricane that will develop across, the Yucatan Peninsula, the Gulf of Mexico, it will not steer east because of that. That, in fact, could hit Louisiana or Mississippi more alike. And that's the thing I'm seeing, that it's not so, accurate. Because I think the GFS has a very good take on this. It feels that weak ridge and then, develops this powerful trough across the Northeast and then it wants to pull it in. I think the GFS has a good handle on these tropical storms and hurricanes recently with Ernesto, with Francine, with Beryl. Very, very good control of it. And the Euro has just been whack this hurricane season. So I have lost trust in the Euro. It doesn't mean the Euro is bad, but it is pretty good as well. But the Euro has been a little whack with the hurricanes this season. And I'm just, trusting the GFS a little more. And because of that case, with that ridging on top of the Northeast, that will deliver that rain that is in fact in forecast from the Weather Channel as well. So I do think there is going to be a ridge in the Northeast. And I think the Euro is just not seeing it yet. Or it's like blindfolded or something. So it's a huge thing to figure out. We don't know where this thing will go. But I do have a feeling someone in the peninsula of Florida, or the Southeast, or maybe even the Mid-Atlantic coast, could be in trouble for this one. I think Texas will be avoided from this one. If we had stronger steering currents towards there, yes, that would be likely. But I just don't see that happening. And let's take a look. Last but not least, let's take a look at the CMC. Yes, it does develop this little bit of a ridge across the east, which is a little weird, but you do get this little ridge. And that's the same thing that the Euro was hinting. There's going to be like a ridge across, the Gulf of Mexico, and this hurricane wants to steer right into Louisiana. And then carry it right up, the central U.S. Will I believe that? I don't know, man. That is a tricky sign we need to figure out. But for now, I will be watching out. Let's take a look at windy.com, and I just want to show you what the wind gusts might look like. In the next 3 days, yeah, you got that little low pressure off the coast. Nothing much of a big deal. But let's zoom it out a little more. Next 5 days, next 10 days. And you already see that hurricane right there. So, but that's the European. However, look at the GFS, man. This just wants to literally slam Florida. Wow, this would be a concerning setup for Tampa and Orlando, man. It'll go right through Florida. And then my guess is it probably goes somewhere like that. Somewhere like that. And then bam, wants to go right up directly the East Coast. And we feel these very powerful winds from the GFS standpoint, because this would turn up to the north and east, and that would be a bad scenario. Again, we're not certain of this, but I'm really watching Isaac this time. Really am watching Isaac. So have a great rest of your night. Do not worry about this hurricane. It's still several days out, even a week out. So don't worry. We're going to get more details on this. But if we still have these trends that it keeps wanting to go east, and we'll see if the European wants to catch on to that idea, we're going to have to start, preparing a little bit. Whether you're in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, even maybe here in the Mid-Atlantic. Let's see what happens. Let's see how this ridging and troughing goes on in the Northeast. That's all the way next Wednesday. We'll see how that trough responds and how it reacts, if it wants to pull in that hurricane like the GFS hinted from that Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to have to see how that, trough wants to pull in that hurricane. So, have a great rest of your night. And as always, stay safe out there.